What's up everybody, welcome back to another video, and today we're going through how to make a Melbourne style bootleg. This video has actually got my newest bootleg that came out today of the Fray's How to Save a Life, and I'm going to run through exactly how I did everything and exactly how you can go about making your own Melbourne style bootlegs. But before we get into it, I gotta get you guys to a couple of things. Firstly, smash that subscribe button and give the video a like if you like this content. And then make sure you let me know down in the comments what sort of stuff you want to see next, and I'll make sure to get around to as many of those videos as possible. But without further ado, let's get into it. So like I said, this track is my newest bootleg of How to Save a Life by the Fray. So all we've got here, we've just got the acapella, which I got from acapellas4u.uk, something like that. I'll link them down below. They're really good. All you gotta do is make an account, and then you get a bunch of credits to get some free downloads of acapellas I got on there. Not all of them are studio quality, but they get pretty close.
He begins to raise his voice, you lower yours, and grant him one last choice.
So as you can see, it's a pretty decent acapella. There's no stuff in the background like instruments or anything from somebody that's made it in Audacity or anything like that. They actually do some pretty good stuff. And all I had to do was, the original track's in 122 BPM. All I had to do was speed it up to 128, make sure everything's on beat, and then we were good to go. So the first thing we started off with on this track was the piano. I was going to change them out for something else, like a different lead or something, but the piano just sit really well and actually worked really well with the acapella. And all we've done here is just some top notes, some bass notes, and then a melody. And this is literally just written out the way the track would be. If you're ever having trouble writing out melodies for any bootlegs, literally just look up on YouTube how to play that song on piano, and it'll give you a really good idea of actually how to write out some proper melodies that'll suit your track really well. So for this piano, I'm just using Keyzone Classic. It's just a free plugin, but it sounds really nice. I'm just using the Steinway preset, and it just works really well. Then I've just got an EQ cutting some of the lows, a reverb, and then just bass clef's easy washout, just to help wash it out when the build-up comes. Next thing I added in was a pad. This is just a very simple pad. It's just a Spire preset, and all it's got on it is an EQ, a reverb, and a compressor just side chaining. That's just following the same notes as what the bass notes are in the piano. This pad's just here to help bring some ambience and help fill the track up a bit. Next up, we've just got an impact, a crash cymbal, and some white noise downlifters. Then when we come into the second part of the breakdown, we've got this pluck that's added in. And all that's doing is playing the same melody as what the piano is. And then we've got some strings. Then we just added in some claps and some crowd noise, just to really help fill up that track and help build some tension for the build-up. Next, we've just got a hi-hat. And finally, I just added in the mid-high layer and the mid-low layer of the bass line, which are just helping create some groove and, again, building some more tension for the drop and making sure that the drop doesn't sound like it's sort of just coming out of nowhere. And those notes are just playing the same notes as what the chords are in the melody. So this is what our breakdown sounds like.
He begins to raise his voice, you lower yours, and grant him one last choice. Drive until you lose the road, a break with the ones you follow. He will do one of two things. He will admit to everything, or he'll say he's just not the same, and you'll begin to wonder why you came.
Next up, we move on to the build-up. So for the build-up, leading into it, I've just got some white noise risers, and then we've got the snares. And then when they get to the last part of the build-up, they just rise up an octave with a little fill leading into the drop. Then we've just got some crowd noise, our claps, and our hi-hats, just with some volume automation on them so that they slowly disappear into the build-up. And then finally, the same with our mid-low and our mid-high layer of our bass. They run through the first part of the build-up and then slowly automate down in volume, just so they slowly disappear. So last of all, we've got our vocals that run through the whole build-up, and I've just created some vocal chops to help add some variation and help the song sound more dancey and like it is going into more of an EDM track.
Where did I go wrong? I lost a friend somewhere along in the pops now set out.
So the way I do my vocal chops, I'll just select a section of the vocals that I want to chop out and make a new melody with, right click on the sample and just slice to new MIDI track. And then, so if I do 1/8 notes, I'll get 64 slices, which is perfect for what I need. It is a lot, but I'm not going to be using the whole vocal with them. So as you can see here, all that does is just slice out the whole vocal into little sections, and you can move the MIDI notes up and down to make your chops.
Where did I go wrong? I lost a friend.
And as you can hear there, when it chops it out, you get this weird popping. And to be honest, I'm not sure how to get rid of that in the MIDI. So all I'll do there is I just chop the vocal up and add in some little fades just to get rid of that popping sound. Then last of all, we've just got our piano without all the bass notes from the breakdown. Then we've got one layer of our drop lead, which slowly rises up in volume and then washes out and has some high pass filtering on it. So with everything together, this is what our build up sounds like.
Where did I go wrong? I lost a friend somewhere along in the pops now set out. But I'll stay up with you all night, and I know how to save a life.
Now we'll move on to the main part of our song, the drop. First up, we've got a nice strong punchy kick. We've got some claps. This little snap sample which hits on the first offbeat. We've got a crash. We've got some white noise which is comes and goes every 4 beats. We've got a little fill and then a larger fill when we go into the second part of the drop. Some hi-hats that come in after 4 bars. And then we've got our bass. My bass is made up of 3 layers. We've just got a separate sub. We've got a mid-low layer. And then a mid-high layer. So all together, this is what our bass sounds like. Next up, we've just got our lead. Our lead is made up of 2 serum presets. We've got the first one, which just has an EQ cutting all the lows, an auto filter, which is just for the transition between 2 parts of the drop, and then just a compressor with a very heavy sidechain. And then we've got our second lead layer, which again is just another serum preset with an EQ cutting all the lows, an OTT set at 42%, an auto filter again just for the transition between 2 parts of the drop, and then a compressor doing a really heavy sidechain. So all together, this is what our lead sounds like. Next, we've got these brass hits, which again are just another serum preset, and we've got 2 notes playing 1 octave above the other, with just an EQ cutting all the lows and a reverb just to help send it back a little bit in the mix. And those notes just follow the same notes as what the bass does. And then last of all, we've just got the vocal chops. And then lastly, we've just got our piano and our pluck, which just come in on the transition between the 2 parts of the drop, just help that transition sound a bit nicer. And it just brings back in some of that original sound of the song. And then all that happens in the final part of the drop is the vocals come back in with the vocal chops.
Where did I go wrong? I lost a friend.
So that is how I go about making a Melbourne style bootleg, or any sort of EDM-y style bootleg for that matter. And this is what our final result sounds like.
He begins to raise his voice, you lower yours, and grant him one last choice. Drive until you lose the road, a break with the ones you follow. He will do 1 or 2 things, he will admit to everything, or he'll say he's just not the same, and you'll begin to wonder why.
that's all we've got for today's video, guys. I hope you got some good information out of it, and it really helps you guys make your own EDM or Melbourne style bootlegs. So this track is actually up right now on my SoundCloud, and it's going to be out here on my YouTube on Friday. Make sure you go check it out. I'm going to be putting a free download link on all of those tracks, so you guys can play it out in your sets, bang it out in your car, do whatever you want with it. But I hope you guys liked it. Thank you so much. Make sure you smash the subscribe button, hit like, leave some comments, do all that sort of stuff, and I will see you on the next one.